In this video, I'll explain how I develop an oil painting in the academic tradition. The first thing I do when I set up in the morning is I take my stored oil paint out of the freezer and lay it out on my palette. Oil paint can stay wet in the freezer for up to 2 weeks, so it helps me waste as little paint as possible. First, I have a grayscale prepared with 9 different values. These colors are all just mixtures of ivory black and titanium white. Even though they look purely gray, they're actually very cool, so I count them in the blue color family. From there, I have ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, burnt umber, alizarin crimson, cadmium red medium, raw umber, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow medium, and white. This is a very basic full color palette used by classical realist painters. I'm working on a painting of the Marquis de Lafayette. When I get started in the morning, I will lift up the painting so that whatever area I'm working on that day is at my eye level. It's just more comfortable. I normally cover just a few square inches of ground a day, and today I'm working on his cravat or his scarf. I stand in the same spot every day, which I've marked with tape. I even wear the same shoes to make sure I'm at the same height. This way, I can ensure that I am always painting the same perspective of my subject. No matter where I am in the painting process, I'm still always correcting the drawing, so I like to use a plumb line to make sure I have all of his features lined up correctly. In academic painting, it's recommended that you stand back about 4 feet from your subject, because this allows you to view your subject and painting side by side, and it's easier to compare them and spot the errors in the painting. One of my main goals for this painting is to capture the fall of light, or how the light shines onto the subject and then cascades and diminishes as we move further away from the light source. When I mix a color, I always start with a gray to establish the value first, which is how light or dark the tone is. Here I've added in a touch of raw umber, which moves the temperature away from being too cool and makes it a little bit more neutral or warm. Then I added in some red and yellow to change the hue or the vibrancy. So that's the progression of color mixing that's comfortable for me. First I establish the value with a grayscale choice, then I adjust the temperature with raw umber, and then I add in the color. The color I'm creating is kind of an orangey gray, and you can see on my palette I have a lot of different grays already. Some feel more violet, others are kind of dark green, there's one that's a neutral beige. This variety of colorful grays makes the painting more realistic and also more interesting. I like to add just a little bit of linseed oil to make the paint feel a little bit more silky. That's my personal preference. It's the only additive medium that I use. As you can see, the scarf is pretty underdeveloped and I have a lot of work to do. It'll take me a full 7-hour day to work on this scarf, and I won't even finish it. I like to listen to audiobooks when I work, and since I'm painting General Lafayette, I'm listening to his biography by Mike Duncan called The Hero of Two Worlds, and I highly recommend it. And then I'm off. All day long, I'll walk back and forth from my viewing place to my painting. Back and forth and back and forth. I walk over 2 miles a day just doing that. This painting is quite large at 40 inches tall, so I expect to put in over 400 hours of work to reach academic realism standards. When I filmed this video, I was about halfway through. That even applies to his jacket and lapel, which look a little smoother than the scarf, but are still considered underdeveloped. When I'm finally done with this painting, I will share a video of varnishing the final piece, and I can't wait.